This episode of Reppin' the State Line podcast with John, George, and Josh is sponsored by The Mortgage Dad. Working with George's team gives you access to an unmatched menu of mortgage programs and over 100 years of combined mortgage experience. Skip the stress, love your mortgage experience, and get home with George. Visit www.homewithgeorge.com. NMLS ID 443967.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 12 of Repping the State Line podcast with John, George, and Josh.
We clearly made a mistake in the last one, and we kept calling it 12 when it was only 11. So
surprise. I think you were the only one. I think you were the only one calling it 12 because it's written everywhere as 11. It's 11 everywhere. We did have a little faux pas. Don't know if you noticed, but we're back. We missed a week because we thought somebody told me we were going to be having episode 13. That's unlucky. So episode 13 is an unlucky episode. So we're not doing that. But again, we're here. We're ready to go. Josh is not with us today, George. He is on vacation with the family in Lake Geneva. Not very far away, but a beautiful place to go to.
Did he say where he was staying?
I did not get all the details from him on where he was staying. Just that they were going off and they were going to enjoy the lake life for a little bit. So I'm assuming they're at the resort that's right by the lake,
Grand
or
Geneva.
maybe Grand Geneva, or they're doing an Airbnb somewhere over there. I don't know.
That's exciting. I wish I was at Lake Geneva right now.
Well, it is only 40 minutes away. We could go right now and go visit them if you like.
We're actually going on Monday on Sunday. We're doing a day up in Lake Geneva this coming Sunday. So right now it's Friday for all those watching. So 2 days from now with my house guest. Yeah, I've had a house guest for a couple house guests now. This is the third week. Unfortunately, this is the final week and my house guests have to go back next week. But it has been just an absolute life-changing experience for them, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. For all of those people that watch us regularly, know that I'm Ukrainian and I've got family that's out there, that there are refugees in Poland. Well, I fought hard, did all out paperwork, and was able to get them, two of my cousins, to the ability to come to the States for the first time in their life. They did come 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago now. It will be a full 3 weeks that they're staying. And we've basically, the last 2 weeks in that, I've just been absolutely crazy busy taking them all over the place. We went downtown Chicago. We've tried it. We even tried like every food group to hit here in Rockford area, like all the staples, so that they, in the Midwest area, really. I mean, we've done the Lou Malnati's. So they did the deep dish. Yesterday we went to Lino's. So they did the local pizza. We are doing Portillo's today. We've done I Love Sushi, which, it's a fan favorite of ours, in our group. Yep. We go there often. We've taken them to across the street over to Garrett's. So they got to see, like, we did the patio there. We're doing Burger Bar. We did Lucy's yesterday. We've done the Beloit Club. So I'm just trying to give them all sorts, and we're doing Jam K on Saturday. Trying to hit all the favorites, every type of, like, all the good locally owned. It's kind of neat considering our channel. We highlight these places, and in the last 2 weeks and this next week, I'm pretty much going through my favorite list of this area, and we're hitting them all, just to give them a little culture shock of what we have to offer here in the States. And then obviously we've gone to Chicago, we've gone to Milwaukee, we're doing Lake Geneva yet. And so I've taken them all over the best I could in 3 weeks.
Well, I know we had a great time over the weekend. You guys went to a White Sox game, did the architectural tour of Chicago, and then met up with me and my wife at Geneva Winery in Geneva, Illinois, which is only about an hour and 20 minutes east of our state line area. And that was a great experience, I believe. Like, I mean, I got to
Oh
meet your
yeah.
sister, your brother was in town, your cousin came with. So, I mean, and I was talking with your wife about that. You guys would talk about JMK Nippons. And I was like, oh, you're a Nippon family. Because everybody knows in the Rockford area, you're either a Nippon family or a Shogun family. That's how it is. And our family,
Yeah.
we go to Shogun. That's our spot. We go to Shogun all the time. And I understand it's been generational basically for your wife and that your family, because when she was growing up, they used to be at their original location over on Mulford. She was telling me
Yep.
they used to go there when it was just like 3 tables in a really small place, and now it's this big beautiful building on Perryville. So I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like the food at both places. It's just when we go out to go for, you know, Tabanaki and
Hibachi.
we're doing the hibachi grill, that's what we want. We want to go to Shogun.
Shogun. Yeah.
When I
It's
want
funny how
sushi, I go to I
there's
Love Sushi.
yeah, and I'm the same way. I like Shogun. I will go. I've been there many a times. But if you put a gun to my head and said, "Hey, take me to the best Japanese restaurant in town," I'm taking to JMK. In my opinion, it's the best. It's got the history. It's got the space. Their chefs are they put on a show. I'm sure they do at Shogun as well. But for me, you know, it comes down to the sushi for me. I think the best sushi in town. Well, there's one roll. It's the Brooklyn roll at JMK. I don't think anything tops it in town. So that's what's my draw, because I always, anytime I go to JMK, even if we do hibachi, I still have to get the Brooklyn roll. And that's just like my thing. Like I can have that every day. It's so good.
Well,
But that's
see, and
me.
I don't do any, we don't do any of that. Like, so if we're going for sushi, it is either I Love Sushi or Zen Sushi up in Beloit. That's like our 2 places. We go to all the time. The first place I ever had sushi in town was Spider Sushi, which was really amazing too. Down was that Alpine near Harrison, I
Yep.
think. But I mean, I've not been to Mark's Fusion yet, and I know I'm being told constantly I have to go. It's just I found the places I like, and I don't do sushi regularly. But when we go for Japanese steakhouse, it is for us Shogun. Yeah, they put on the show. We've been disappointed with other places. I think that's why we don't go. During COVID a few years ago, so my family we do a unique Christmas now because we don't have little ones anymore. Our kids are older,
Yeah.
so I mean they're young adults that live with us. So we will go Christmas Eve. We go to Shogun. That's what we do. But during COVID, they were shut down for Christmas Eve. So we went to the only place that was open, which was Benihana's over in
Gotcha.
Schaumburg. And it was a set Christmas menu. So you could only get certain items. For Benihana's to be what it was, the quality I felt was rushed. The entertainment was not there, but I think because it was the holiday, you know, and they were just overwhelmed. But you know, I go to Shogun, it's the same meal, it's the same quality, it's the same entertainment, whether I go on Christmas Eve or I go on a Tuesday, you know, in the middle
They
of the
give
summer.
you it's great. Yeah.
Right. It's
I think we're
consistent.
spoiled. I
That's
think we're
it.
spoiled in Rockford to have both Shogun and JMK. When you go to the city, exactly, people think Benihana's, and I think that we do better locally than the national.
And I definitely agree with that. I mean, and of course, we're big proponents of shopping local, buying local, eating local. I mean,
Absolutely.
if given the choice to go to, you know, a chain restaurant or a local restaurant, I always try to go to a local restaurant unless I'm really
Absolutely
craving what that chain offers. But yeah, great stuff there.
Yeah, like after our winery, you come home, you had a couple bottles of wine, and you're like, you know, Taco Bell finally sounds good for the first time.
Right. And yeah, no, it doesn't. It does not. I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
I cannot
No,
do taco. I mean, we have so many great taco places in town. I can't justify Taco Bell.
Agree.
I mean, right over there, on State Street, in the parking lot in front of Binny's Beverage Depot, like in front of Binny's.
They have
Olivio's
tacos.
right.
Olivio's, yes.
Olivio is always there. So if I want inexpensive, good tacos, I'm not going to go to Taco Bell. I'll go get their 3 for $5 tacos.
Yeah.
Street tacos, 3 for $5. It's quick, it's filling, you're in and out, you're done. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. I'd rather hit there than go through a drive-through for Taco Bell anytime.
Agreed. So yeah, so our weekend was this last weekend was crazy. And going back, I know I'm going to rewind a little bit. So you said skipping episode 13. I agree. I don't know if you've noticed, if you ever go to any hotel, there is no 13th floor. I mean, it's just an unlucky number. So we will not have an episode 13. We are doing 20 episodes, and it'll be 1 through 12 and 14 through 20. And we did take a week off. Yet last week was just insanely busy for all three of us. We literally couldn't find an hour to sit down, and I honestly thought it was episode 13. I'm like, maybe that's our sign. Like, we picked the right time to take a week off. So it is what it is. We're still gonna have 19 out of 20 episodes. We're gonna name them 1 through 20 and skip 13. So as far as last week, though, we did find the time to go and play at a golf play day at Woodbine in Stockton. And I must say, for a play day that I've never gone to, never heard of until this year, I thought it was a spectacular play day. They did, the pace of play was amazing. They had drinks and brats for you for breakfast in the morning, like a grab and go. So like early on in your game, you just, warming up. After a couple holes, you come in, get yourself a brat, drinks all over the course. And then they had a spectacular lunch when we finished at like 3, which was, I guess, more of a dinner. And then the awards, my gosh, to me, it felt like they had an unlimited charity of giveaways. It was just like, and the next name, and the next name. And it just kept rattling off, and pretty much everybody won something at that golf play day. I was pretty impressed.
Well, the great thing about that, just to rewind it a little bit. So that golf play day was held by the Tri-County chapter of the Northwest Illinois Alliance of Realtors. So just in this past 2 years, the Rockford Area Association of Realtors merged with the Belvedere Board of Realtors, and then Ramwell, which was the Realtor Association of Northwestern Illinois. And that area had 3 counties that they covered. It was like Lee County, Joe Davies County, and Stevenson County. That was their tri-county area.
Gotcha.
Or Carroll County was one of them. I think it was Carroll, not Lee. So by doing that, though, rather than dissolving an association of realtors, we just became that much bigger and stronger. So we have individual chapters now. So there's a Rockford chapter, there's a Belvedere chapter, there's a Tri-County chapter. And this was the Tri-Counties golf play day. And they'd done one every year. I wasn't a member of their association at that time, but we're all one big family now. So I'm very happy that you guys got the chance to come out. I mean, what did you win? A $25 gift certificate to Beefaroo or something?
No, I won $25 cash for having closest to the flag.
Okay.
And that, side note, that was another thing that was really cool, is every hole was like really unique prizes based off of really unique shots. Like closest to the pine on the right side before the bunker got a prize. Like, I've never gone to play day, or like the shortest drive. Like, it was really fun to aim, because I mean, the 4 of us, let's be honest, none of us except for Josh are really serious golfers. And so we just had a blast, and it was fun to kind of aim for these things that were actually attainable. Most of the time you go, it's like longest drive, longest putt, and closest to the pin, which I have no skill to attain either of those 3. So it's like, they're like second thought. And to go to a play day where you actually had things that we all could win, and it was pretty cool. And I won one, but that was a $25 cash prize. And then I won a $50 gift card to Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, nice. And then, of course, it was one of those funny things. My name got pulled out of a drawing with it was a booze basket. I've never seen a bottle of Grey Goose that was this big.
So big, yeah.
I mean, it was like the double bottle. It's like 2.5 feet tall, and then there was a bottle of Woodford Reserve bourbon in there as well. Which, I mean, right there, that was those 2 bottles. Winning that was the cost of admission for the play day for me. So I mean, it was nice breaking even. You know what I mean? And having a great day out with you guys. Tyler did well for the day. Josh did well. I mean, well, hell, Josh had most of the balls we used for the day, except there was a stretch there where you were just a rock star.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but we got to use a couple of my shots, which was awesome.
Well, you like woke up and just started hitting the ball for a change. It was crazy. So at least you're prepared then for the State Line Chamber golf outing this week. So that's another fun local event that we do every year.
It's tomorrow, but technically you guys will be viewing it. Will have been yesterday.
And we'll give you a recap of it next week's episode of what was going on, what happened at the State Line Chamber Golf Play Day. But yeah, it's
every year at this golf play day, some stuff happens that we never would have predicted. And I'm so excited to see what that is this coming year. Last year's highlight was Mike Pillar showing up with his coconut bra and grass skirt. And he was the first one to go up on the dunk tank, and he didn't see it coming. And his kids, his wife, everybody were kind of standing there watching him, and he was showing off that nobody could dunk him. And he's sitting there going like, ooh, it is a little coconut bra. And I came from behind and I slapped it and dunked. I was the first one to dunk him. And boy, to this day, he says he's going to get me back, but I don't know how, because he ain't going to be there tomorrow.
Well, that's craziness. And I feel bad. I missed last year's golf outing. I actually got the opportunity to see my mom and dad for the first time since like 2019 because of COVID. So my mom and dad, my brother and my sister-in-law, they all live in New York City still. So unfortunately, when my brother called and said, let's get together for mom's 70th birthday, we can all meet at my house in Pennsylvania. Him and his wife and his two sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws, her sisters and their husbands, the three families bought a house in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, beautiful place. And so we went to do my mom's 70th birthday last year, and that was just an amazing time. And because of COVID, it was like 2 years we couldn't see each other. It was just craziness. So it was nice to be able to get together.
Absolutely
worth missing a golf play day, even though I think that's the first State Line Chamber / Roscoe Chamber golf outing I've missed since 2009 when I first joined the chamber. So I mean, that's the crazy. That's like the first one I've ever missed.
And you're back.
And I'm back this year.
And I've already made it official. And next year, our good friend Josh, that's not here today, but Josh, that's part of this podcast, is going to be the chair. So he will bring a fresh new look to it, possibly change the theme, make it, we're moving back to the ledges next year. So it should be interesting to see what he comes up with and his creativity, because he's excellent at it as well. So yeah, golf play days abound, family trips abound. I've got one more big weekend planned and end of the week here once we get through tomorrow with them before they go back to Ukraine or to Poland. And it's tough. It's really going to be a tough day to send them back because they're family and they've been living with us for 3 weeks. And my kids, and even though there's a language barrier because they don't speak very broken English, my kids don't speak any Ukrainian, but they still it's absolute amazement to see how kids can communicate, even though there's a language issue, and they play and laugh and record stupid videos. And it's like they're besties, but they communicate in their own ways. It's really unique to see. And then I help translate and stuff, but for the most part, it's just crazy.
And it worked out very nicely though when we were all together on Saturday night. Your cousin, her English is pretty good though. I mean, seriously, she catches a lot of what we're saying.
Yeah,
I could tell like we'd be having a conversation and then she would say something to you, or she would actually interject in English. So I mean, just being here for 3 weeks has really helped her progress and emerge into the culture. But I mean,
speaking of
we
which,
all had a great time.
We went to the Jeff Dunham show and I took her to it on Sunday. So that was kind of like the capped off the weekend. Sunday afternoon, Jeff Dunham was up in Beloit. I don't know, he's a very polarizing. I didn't realize this. I always thought of Jeff Dunham as a ventriloquist who was a comedian and hilarious. But
he won America's Got Talent, didn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't that where he came from?
That.
But yeah,
I don't know exactly. I don't know where he started, but yeah, I definitely. So I didn't realize this until the show. but he came out. So he's got these puppets, and he's got one puppet that's Walter. And Walter is this like real frowning, grumpy old man. That's his character, his persona. And he decided to interject politics into the entire show. And he had Walter dressed as Joe Biden, and he brought out Walter, aka the president. And oh my gosh, I was surprised more people didn't walk out at that point, because you know how polarizing politics are right now. And like you're either defending one side or the other side. There's no in between. And he came out with digs at Biden and the presidency, and he crossed the line, and then you're like, okay, so we're there now. And then he would cross it even further, and then he went further, and I was like, at one point I looked at like Ryan and the people sitting with him, I'm like, holy shnikes, I can't believe he's getting away with this. And I was surprised more people didn't walk out, but he was bad. Like,
did people actually get up and walk out though?
There were a few couples, yeah, that
wow,
just didn't care for the taste of his comedy. And it's funny because it was mainly that first character. And then he's like, all right, no, that's enough politics for today. And then his second character came out, and he was like, okay, but maybe one more politics joke. And he just kept it going the whole show. It's pretty funny. I'm not gonna argue either way on it. I don't think like our podcast is not about politics, but comedy's comedy, and no matter which way you stand, I'm glad that majority of people stayed, because it was a funny show, and he did a lot of stuff that was not politics related that just made you laugh. He's really good. I'm impressed with his work, but it was a good show. So she got to see that, and she picked up on a lot of those jokes. She gave me those dirty looks like, I can't believe he said that. It was pretty bad, but it was pretty good at the same time.
Oh, it's one of those things too, like just being able to, and not to get political, but we live in a country that's unlike any other in the world. We can publicly go stand on a stage as a public figure like that and bash our president. Yep. And it's allowed. And in a lot of countries around the world, you go talk about your leaders, you're going to jail. Yeah.
Look at Russia right now. I mean, not to bring up a sore subject, but when the war started, there was a lot of protesters, Russian protesters, that were against it. And all they did was just show up downtown to voice their displeasure with a sign, and jailed. It's crazy.
So, I mean, that's one thing we have to always constantly think about, is how free we actually are here. We think we have issues, but on the same note, not to go there, but I mean, it's satire. It's one way or the other. I actually watched a movie recently. I watched a movie the other night called Vice. It was on Netflix. It had a lot of big names in it. So if you haven't seen it, give it a look. But it's very like how he was bashing, Biden. This was very bashing of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. Yep. It was very left leaning, but it was good to watch. It was entertaining. And the very end of the movie, they actually bring up the fact that they are very biased one way, which I thought was cool that they addressed it. But it was still an entertaining movie. It was not a bad couple hours. So, I mean, we have to, as a society, in my opinion, this is my little soapbox, just listen to each other a little bit and not go crazy as soon as somebody has a differing opinion. That's what made our country great. I mean, I grew up in New York City. It's the most diverse city in the world. 800 unique languages are spoken at any given time in New York City. You got to learn to live with people. You got to learn to just get along. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but
that's the thing. Like, I don't want to say that I'm Republican or Democrat. I'm not. That's not what I'm about. I know satire is satire, and I take comedy both ways. Just like when they roast people and at that dinner, that presidential dinner, I forget the name of it, but it's the one with all the where all the media, it's a correspondence dinner, White House correspondence dinner, and they roasted Republicans, they roast Democrats, and I think it's whatever comedian's up there is hilarious either way. It's just, you just take it for what it is. It's not meant to be serious. It's meant to be comedy, satire, a break from it, and maybe laugh at yourself. If you're, one of the political parties, laugh at yourself a little bit, because I think that there's a very common ground in the middle that many of us could be at and should be at. We're just not there at the moment. And eventually I'm hoping that we realize that there is a non-far right, non-far left leaning middle that
Right.
a lot of us can come to an agreement on, in my opinion.
Well, that's the funny thing. It's you meet people and you talk, and everybody, regardless of political affiliation, want the same things. We just have different ideas on how to get there.
Yep.
So, I mean, and I've been dealing with this since, graduating high school in the early 90s, coming into the world and just the world of politics and all around us. It's always been divisive. It's been divisive
Very.
since the founding of our country. It's actually better than what it used to be. I mean, like the Lincoln Douglas debates, they talk about that over in Freeport. That was like a big thing that happened. And it was right there. It was held in Freeport. Back then, they used to like call each other's mother's names. They would say pure slander against the other candidate when they would have these debates, like things you would never get away with today. And that's what
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff they would do back in those debates in the early years of our country. So, I mean, what's that from the movie Stripes? Lighten up, Francis.
Yeah.
So, but let's move on. Let's move on to some happy stuff.
Yes.
You actually celebrated at a beautiful place in Roscoe that's a hidden gem, and it actually has a hidden
gem.
name. It actually has a hidden name.
Yeah, hidden gem alert for us here. This is a perfect thing to discuss on this podcast. So if you haven't been yet, there's a place in Roscoe. And when I say in Roscoe, I'm not talking about off in the boonies where you got to drive and you feel like you're in the middle of the country. You literally go down 90, you exit on Rockton Road, which many of us know where that's at. As soon as you get off, instead of going left, if you're coming from the south, instead of going left into where all the stuff is, you make a right. I've never made a right off of Rockton Road. You make a right, another right there, and you end up at a place called Hidden Creek Estates. Never heard of it. Never knew that it was 18-minute drive from my house. When we Googled it to not.
Oh no, I just lost George. I don't know what happened there, guys. Sorry. So George was he just froze completely on our recording.
Renewed their vows.
Whoa, George, stop 1 second. You froze for a second there. For the people watching on YouTube, it's hilarious the face George had made. But can you step back for a little bit? And you never went that way. You Googled it. That's the last thing we saw. And then your face did this.
Oh.
So
are you good now? Am I good now?
You're good now. You're moving. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I mean, obviously there's some technical difficulties. We can't control that when we're not in a studio. But let's continue.
I'll go back. So you exit at Rockton Road, and instead of making a left, you make a right. I've never gone right, but it's right there.
So you head east. You head east on Rockton Road.
Yes. And it's right around the corner there. It's in the middle of the woods. It's called Hidden Creek Estates. Absolute hidden gem, in my opinion. We were there. We were invited for a private party on a Sunday for a 40th anniversary wedding renewal of vows of family of ours. And you can rent the whole place on the weekends. And they have a house, like an Airbnb type thing, where you can actually stay there with a balcony and porch where you can sit out and have drinks at the winery. They have a barn, like a really old barn, and they remade the barn into two halves. So the top half is open where you can bring in live music to play, and they have tables set up out there, a really nice huge outdoor deck. On the bottom half, they have a patio with a whole bunch of fire pits. And those patios basically go up to the little lake that they have there. They have another area where you could bring in live music and a stage. And then they even bring in, for food, they bring in food trucks. So they had a pizza food truck for this one, where it was wood fire pizza made to order, like a single serve pizza. and it was off the chain amazing. And that bottom half of the barn, they made it into like a really cool bar. And it's a garage. So like the barn was remade, like the garage was turned into a bar, and then the upstairs is your event space. And the bar was like they have the garages that open, so you can have outdoor, and then you can close it if the weather isn't perfect. On the inside, they have couches, a big bar. It's all eclectic, very like rustic. Really, I had a blast, and it top shelf liquor. It was all you could drink for when we went as part of the package. You can create your own packages to rent the place for the day. Like if you want the whole place, everything that I just described, the upstairs, the downstairs, all the fire pits, the live music potential, bring in of a food truck, all that stuff, $500 for the day. That's all they charge. And then they're open to the public Wednesday through Friday from 5 to 9. So it's a 4-hour where you can just come and enjoy the winery. They usually bring in live entertainment for those nights and some kind of a food truck for food. If there's enough of people that are coming, they'll bring in a food truck. And if you wanted to, you can rent out the top half for $250 for the night. So you can mix with some public on the bottom half, but then you get the whole top half of the barn, the venue, for $250 for the night. Or you could just throw your own private party, have the whole place to yourself for $500 on a weekend. I think I've never heard of being able to rent out an entire winery for $500. I mean, that's pretty crazy in my opinion. And it's really, I think it's really tactfully done the way they did it. If you're a fan of like rustic and going to like a cellar or wine tasting, all that stuff, got to check this place out. The staff was phenomenal. The place was great. I never heard of it, never been to it. I was shocked at how close it was. It was a 15-minute drive from my house. I mean, I was expecting to Google something that was going to be like Poplar Grove and it would take us 30, 40 minutes to get there. No, this was like literally in our backyards and we didn't even know about it. So major shout out to them. I think they are doing things different. I've never seen a winery like it with what they have to offer. Their pricing is very competitive, I'm considering, I already talked to Bruce on our team. We are thinking of putting together an event. I mean, that's how it's a great space. And I think that would be a great thing for like a company outing.
All right, so just to recap, so the name of the venue is Hidden Creek Estates. It's at 13276 White School Road in Roscoe, Illinois. So yeah, that is literally 5 minutes from my house, from where I live. It's hiddencrk.com. That's their website. So hiddencrk.com to find out all information what they have going on. And just like in general, like George was saying, there's some beautiful pictures of the place. You can book a fire pit. So when the nights get cooler, we're going into fall, you can actually book a fire pit with private just for you and your group, kind of like how we do gazebos or igloos at some of the other places. And like this Friday night, so the night you're listening to this, so tonight, it's bring your own picnic. So bring your own food, drink their wine, drink their alcohol, bring food that you want to have. And music is by Hip Pocket. That's who's there tonight, July 29th. So they had Pizza Fresca there this past week. Cantina Taco was there on Thursday. So, I mean, just a nice variety of stuff. And again, it was one of these things it's here in Roscoe and didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know here in town, they either go to like DC Winery, which is in South Beloit, or they go to Mossbach, which is in Poplar Grove, Caledonia, that general area. And it's like, each one of them has their own unique flavors and tastes and wines and music, and they do food trucks and bring that kind of stuff in. But just have one more space to go to.
What I like about this, what really stood out about this place is, don't get me wrong, I like my wine, and I absolutely love going to wineries to have wine. They have unique wines, they have great wine, but they had liquor collection that was top shelf, like stuff that I would, as a bourbon slash scotch connoisseur that likes to have higher end stuff. I was impressed with what they had available from their bar. They definitely are catering to the high end. So for people that like to go have a drink and don't necessarily want to have wine because you're not,
Right.
maybe you're a bourbon guy, you can take your wife, your family, or have a party, get a gathering like you're going to a winery and still get your top end liquor, which I was impressed with that part.
Well, that's a great segue, because I don't know if you knew, but Wednesday of this week was National Scotch Day. So while we're talking about that, George, what is your favorite scotch?
Right now, let me see. I was going to say it's in my
No,
kitchen.
don't go looking. Oh wow, it's one of those days already.
I just had it last night. So I am lucky because I have a really good friend, Chris, and this is a good time to plug him. If you ever want to see some satire comedy about complaining about Chicago, he's Chris from Chicago. He's on Twitter. He's got videos. He makes movies. He's through Velvet. I forgot the name of it. Something Velvet, the company, but Chris from Chicago. He's hysterical. He's got a caricature of himself, and he just goes around and makes videos like jokingly satire about the city of Chicago and how we're bad at certain things, and it's just a great show to watch. But his real job, when he's not Chris from Chicago, is he owns distribution for wine, and he's got a huge distribution store in Chicago. And at one point, he was carrying this specific scotch, and it's Timintual is the name of it, and it's an 18-year aged. And for an 18-year aged scotch, you're normally paying a couple $100 a bottle. It was priced just under that, like 160, 170. But I kid you not, like I have yet to find one. It used to be Macallan 18 was my go-to scotch, and I think this Timintual is my new favorite. And it's about $100 less a bottle for what I consider equal, if not better quality. So Timintual, he doesn't
Well,
carry it anymore, which
don't
stinks.
don't get me wrong, because I love a good Macallan. Don't like, but I would say for the money, my favorite scotch for the money would be the 14-year Glenfiddich. It's in the blue bottle. It's a blue bottle. The 12 is basic. I mean, it's a great scotch to get into. The 15 I've had, and I've had the 18, both very good. But to make the jump from the 14 to the 15, the flavor notes, the profiles are so much different. I just prefer the 14. And I mean, it's a big price jump too to go from the 14 to the 15 for some reason. So if you're looking for a good mid-level scotch to get started on, I would definitely recommend Glenfiddich 14 to anybody. And then with our bourbons, since you segued us so well talking about scotches and bourbons, I wanted to throw this out there to save the date for everybody. So September 24th at the Laurent House by Franklin Lloyd Wright. Now, if you don't know what the Laurent House is, we have a gem right here on Springbrook. I got to think the map in my head all the time. So
Yep.
Springbrook between Spring Creek and Mulford. Closest Spring Creek is the Laurent House by Franklin Lloyd Wright. So this is an architectural beauty. They're open for tours again. And from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock on September 24th, it is a Saturday afternoon, they're going to be doing bourbon, brisket, and brews. There's not a lot of information yet about the event. They're just asking everybody to save the date at the moment. But it's a fundraiser to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Laurent House by Franklin Lloyd Wright. Now, if you don't know who Franklin Lloyd Wright is, and being a realtor and a former contractor, I'm drawn to his styles.
Yes.
Architect, designer, engineer, writer. He did artwork. I mean, the guy was just an amazing, he was a total Renaissance man. And he designed a lot of Madison, a lot of the buildings in Madison. The big, what's it called? The Monona Terrace. He designed that entire building. in Madison. So, and these are the houses. A lot of the houses are done in mid-century modern style, which I really like. I'm drawn to that style of architecture, the clean lines, the furniture. So it's definitely a good thing to check out. Again, I have no other information, and I'll bring up more as we get closer to the event. I have no dog in this fight. I do not have anything to do with the Lorenz house. I just thought it was really cool, and they're putting together a bunch of things I enjoy: bourbon,
Yeah.
brisket,
Yep.
great architecture, blues music. What more could you ask for? It's a nice Saturday afternoon. So I know George is going to try to make it with me. I'm going to try to be there. So it would be your opportunity to hang out with some of the guys repping the state line.
Yep. It
Could
should
be
a good
fun.
one. So I'll say one last thing about Timinchul. So it is distilled at the Glenlivet Distillery. So everybody knows Glenlivet. That's
Yes,
like
everybody knows.
Glenfiddich.
Well,
So
Glenlivet is the bar, is basically bar scotch. Like, I mean, every
Yep.
bar you go to US for scotch and soda, it's automatically a Glenlivet. That's what it is.
So it's like their highest end scotch. It's from that region, from that distillery. It's just hard to find. I mean, you can't, most places do not carry it. You got to have
Right.
unique distributors that have that license. And my buddy had it for a while, so no longer, but yep. So we've got that. We talked about a little bit about that event in September, or when was it again? That
It'll be
event?
September 24th.
September.
So we've got some
24th.
time. We've got a couple of months until then. It might even be during our off season when this happens. So we'll just have to record some chaos, some footage, and do a recap when we come back, because as we did say earlier when we first started this program, we're going to do 20 episodes for season 1.
Minus episode 13.
Minus episode 13. Take a small 4 to 6 week break in between seasons, and then come back for season 2. Will be 10 episodes, and we'll be running 10 episodes with interviewing and bringing in guests and working on sponsors and all that fun stuff. So
yep, season 1 primarily was our opportunity to get our audience to know us. Really want to dive in and make you basically build our characters. We're the 3 stars of this podcast. We want to, I mean, everything we're telling you is basically we're opening our lives up as a book, like a book, to let you know. I mean, we 3 are in the state line area. We 3 do business in the state line area. We 3 network in the state line area. We've lived here for a while, and we're just trying to bring the state line to you guys. So, and all the cool stuff we hear about, bring it to you. Next season, we'll start doing some more one-on-one interviews, bring people in, guests onto the show to give you guys a deeper look into some of the stuff that we've uncovered. And we want to get into these regular, 10 episodes, good month and a half break, 10 episodes, another break. And that way we hit all the different seasons of the year. We'll be able to do some winter stuff and some of the Christmas walks and the different shopping things that are happening. We'll be able to do stuff that's in the spring, and then some summer highlights for what's here in the local area. So, yep, great synopsis of where we're heading with this podcast. And again, great time also to get people to like, share, do all your podcasty things, your YouTubey things. Like, share, comment, let us know if there's something happening in the area we may have missed or that's upcoming that you think would be cool for us to highlight, and maybe even attend and bring to you guys the state line area. So,
and we have our challenge still going on the Repping the State Line Facebook page. We now have 976 members, so we've grown by about 25 members in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
So I mean, again, guys, get on there, like the show, like the Repping the State Line group on Facebook, and send us a message. Let us know what you would like to see, where you'd like to see us. So with that, George, the sun is coming out. I've got a lot of things to do today. I'm sure you have a ton of things. So
yes,
we hope Josh and his family are having a great time in Lake Geneva, having some well-deserved rest.
And we didn't really roast him like me and you got roasted. So
well,
Josh,
we're a little nicer than Josh.
Yeah, clearly. So Josh gets a nice little pass for this time, but we'll come up with something next time he goes on vacation.
Well, that's it.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for those loyal people that download us every week and watch. Start sending us messages. We love to interact with some of our people out there that are watching, and we'll see you guys next week. We'll have a nice little recap of vacation, how our play day went, and start talking about back to school. That's going to be the next big topic coming up here in August. So,
all right.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.